for you, but you
Every
can't tell.
woman I've been with, I was over her.
But look at the caliber. It's a
What that
different
mean?
caliber. We're both black men, but we're on different levels. So what your level is, I'm not knocking it, but that's your level of what your woman. So you're going to attract a woman who's going to listen to you based on your characteristics. Your women would not be attracted to me, and me, that's why I wouldn't be attracted to them. We don't even resonate on the same level.
You'd be good for a younger woman so you can guide her.
But
You
the whole
can't
thing
guide
is,
an older woman.
you don't know that, bro. You're trying to judge my wife. You don't even know her. You're speaking down on something you don't even know. You never
I'll
sat down
let
and have
you
a
talk to
conversation.
your wife one day. Next time, bring your wife.
She's here. She's here. She's writing and she's here. So you're speaking on a woman that you don't even know.
Oh, that's your wife?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes, guys, welcome to Cultural War. Welcome to another very exciting edition of Cultural War. Here, Jesse interviews a guy called Big Herc. Very interesting individual. He was an ex-con, robbed the bank, and also he was an ex-porn star. Also, he's married to a white lady who's 9 years older than him. Amazing, guys. And Jesse trolled him for this, and he got triggered. Very interesting, guys. Apart from that, this guy has a good head on his shoulders. No more spoilers, guys. I want you to watch the video for yourself and tell me what you think. Drop your comments in the comment section. Make sure they're positive. All right, so if you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get more videos like this. So without further ado, let's dive in.
I have with me Big Herc. He is an ex-con, a porn star, and the host of the YouTube channel Fresh Out. And Big Herc 916. Thank you for coming, man.
I appreciate the opportunity, man, to sit down with you.
Yeah. So Fresh Out meaning you just fresh out of jail.
Yeah, fresh out meaning like a new beginning. So, getting out of prison, we used to say, like, if you seen somebody on the streets, he was fresh out. You could tell he just got out of jail.
I see. I was watching the portion of some of your films last night to get a better feel. And you robbed a bank when you were very young.
I was 24 at the time.
It was interesting how that came about. You and your friend just decided one day.
It was, looking back in retrospect, the mind frame I was in at that time was such a different mind state now, so I don't even know that same person. But at the time, the type of path I was on was, similar to what a lot of the young people are involved in, and I just had that type of mentality at the time.
Now that you look back on the type of path, how would you describe that path?
A path of kind of no direction, really no, as far as guidance, as far as what I want to do in my life, just kind of floating, whatever kind of came my way, I would entertain it. I didn't have the conscious thought process I have now to look at different choices and decisions like I do now.
That's amazing. Things are. Were you? I know you were raised by your mother, but were your father around at all?
No, I never met my father, but my mother and then my grandparents. So my grandparents had a big impact in my life.
So you never met your father?
No.
What's that like, not even meeting him?
It got to a point where at this time, I don't really care to meet him because I've already accomplished a lot of things and kind of defined myself. So it's not like I would really look to I'm lost and I'm needing some type of guidance. I'm spiritually in a place where I don't really think I don't feel like I need him to tell me anything at this point.
So is there like a part of you that still long for him, even though you don't need him, but something in you, like an emptiness that still would like to see him and know him?
Nothing to that extent, but looking back, I feel like that was a critical element as a child because I had a stepfather, but having a father that interacts with you, I think every child needs that. There's no way that a woman can raise a young man by herself after a certain, you need to have a man in the household.
Why wasn't your father around?
My mom had me young. She was in high school, so they just never developed of it.
So you grew up in Sacramento?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. In short, what was life like in prison? Did it make you tougher, like mentally tougher, physically, or what?
All I did was try to figure out how I got there. It wasn't the bank robbery that got me there. It was the mindset. It was the energy I created that led to the choices that got me there. So what I try to do was reverse all the things I did to figure out what was the key decision that took me to that path that led to prison. And once I found that, I had an awakening, and then that's what I focused on. So every day in prison, I worked on myself. I didn't socialize with a lot of dudes. I didn't gossip. I didn't politic. I didn't,
Yeah.
I worked on my spirituality. I studied the law, and I worked out. That's all I did.
That's all. You didn't get into those games and
No,
fights and all that kind
no,
of stuff.
I didn't involve myself with any of that stuff.
That's good, man. So you were in there 8 years?
8 years, 8 months.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
And so you grew up on a military base because your mother was married to a military man?
Yeah, yeah. My stepdad at the time was in the military.
Did you get along with him?
No, I didn't like him.
Yeah. I had a stepfather. He was a really nice guy, but I preferred my real father
Yeah.
over stepfather. But my stepfather was a decent man. It's just that my soul would not accept it. I wanted my real father.
Yeah, having that, I think that having that somebody that you know that you came from builds you up makes a big difference in life.
Yeah. I know you're married now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you plan to have kids, have your own family?
Well, my wife has a stepdaughter, so she has a daughter, so I have a stepdaughter, and she's not at this time. She's beyond having kids.
Oh, I see.
So it would be something maybe in the future if we decide to do something. But at this time, I think my goal is to help so many. I'm trying to help all these other kids who don't have father figures. So I feel like I'm almost like sharing my experiences to help these kids better deal with their situation without having a dad.
So is there a part of you that will want to have your own kids too?
I think it would be amazing to be able to share that DNA and have the opportunity to give all the things I've learned in life because of all the mistakes I've made and be able to have that, but it's not something right now. I got other career goals I'm trying to focus on right now.
Why did you marry a woman that was, didn't have any kids, and so you could start your own family?
Well, just the universe brought my wife into my life, and you don't say, hey, I'm gonna look for this woman, this and that. You just let nature take its course. And so as far as the bonding, that wasn't something I really thought about at the time. It's just that, as far as our emotion, everything was just the right for the right person. So that's why, it wasn't like I was like, well, I could go and marry somebody younger and get a kid. That wasn't really my main focus.
Oh, okay. And so you were a porn star at one time. That's amazing.
Yeah, back in the 90s.
You really described it very well in your tape. No regrets about that?
No, I mean, a lot of people want to, pretend to be something they're not, or act like they don't look at porn. And if you don't look at porn, you're a guy. Something wrong. I mean, it's just obvious. You're gonna look at a woman, dude. I look at women all. I mean, it's not like I stopped looking at women. So when people say that, and then you sit around and watch it, and you judge me, well, then it wouldn't work if you didn't watch it.
Yeah.
So at the time I was young, I was 21. I had just got out of YA. I had did 2 years and 6 months in YA from 18 to 21. I hadn't had any sex with any girls. And so I fantasized in there of getting out, and I used to look at these magazines. I said, man, I could be a porn star and make a lot of money. And I found out you don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, I did it for a little while, and it was just something that I said I was gonna do, and I did, and I got it out my system.
How many years did you do it for?
90, 95, 96, and then a couple years, and from like 99 or 98 to 2000.
And you didn't make a lot of money?
It's not money like I consider a lot of money. Know what I know now about money, and even after I've did it all this time, and I see where these porn star guys are now, man, them guys is broke.
Yeah.
I'm talking about money. I'm talking about having 10, 20 million in your account. Ain't no porn star gonna have that kind of money. You work for every scene. You don't get SAG money. You're not getting residual income. You're not making, you're not making no money. Even the girls, you make the money, they spend it, and then now everybody's broke. So my thing is, once I started seeing that picture, I'm like, that's not for me.
So were you doing it just for the sex rather than for the money?
No, it was probably a combination of both. But initially, I was thinking, okay, I could build it into a business, but I didn't have that access to like the behind the scenes stuff, the putting together a production company. I didn't know anything about that when I was doing it. Had I known more about that, maybe I would have thought about, oh man, creating a company outside the United States, setting up a server, get my own, creating my own web channel, something like that. But I wasn't thinking on that level. And if you're not doing it at that level, it's not worth it.
In your video, you talked about how much you love sex when you were doing the porn stuff. What made you love it so much?
Just like any other man loves sex. I mean, when you don't have a woman in your life, when you're deprived, see, people out here, guys take women for granted. A lot of guys treat women bad. They don't understand, And the thing about porn is like everybody's there consensual. It's not anybody's. You're not there against your will.
Yeah.
And when you talk about like embracing a female, a lot of guys don't know how to treat a woman. So for me, my personality was different, but I wasn't like these guys. A lot of guys get into the business because they're pervs. They can't get a woman outside the industry.
Yeah.
I had women. I never had a problem having a girlfriend or picking up a woman. So I really seen like for me, I jumped into the business, but once I realized what the business was about, it wasn't really cohesive with my personality because a lot of guys, I didn't vibe with them because they weren't my type of guys I would hang out with outside. Right. And so I just kind of dabbled in the business, and while I was dabbling, I was doing other stuff. So it wasn't like something I really kind of totally focused on. It was like a passing moment in my life, but I was trying to figure out what was my next move.
I got you. When you were young, were you selling drugs or something?
When I was 15, I was selling crack.
How did you get into that? I remember you mentioning that.
People around my neighborhood were hustling, and I wanted to make money. I wanted to have, be able to buy things and do things. So I felt like that would give me what I needed to do at that time.
And so are you over all that now?
Of course, if you elevate it.
You elevated, and how did you how did you get over all that? And I'm gonna get into the new you in a minute. How did you become the new you? If that's such a word.
You find yourself. I mean, at some point, you got to figure out your spirituality. If you don't have spirituality, then you're not ever going to find yourself.
So you were walking down the road one day and you decided, you know what, I got to find myself.
No, in prison.
You decided that in prison?
When I got locked up from the bank robbery, that was the closing chapter. That was when I felt I had an epiphany. When I was being handcuffed on the beach in Ventura, I realized that the game was over.
Good, man.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, they used to have the chain gang. You know what that is?
They still have that.
When they work on the roads and stuff?
Yeah.
And when the prison would work on those things, they would give them bread and water and stuff. They didn't have all these color TVs and gyms and things like that. If we were to go back to that, would that cause people to be less likely to go back to prison?
No, that's slavery. I mean,
But isn't that nice though?
What?
Isn't that like nice to make them slave?
No. Why would you say that?
Because that would make them work, and they wouldn't want to go back to that. That's how it used to be.
That was implemented because these are people who, for laws that were biased towards a certain demographic of individuals, they would put them in prison because most of these guys were uneducated. So most of those guys were in there for stuff that they had they had limited choices, which made them commit a crime. If you want to change a country, you want to change a system, you pump money into the community to help people who are less inclined, who don't have the opportunities in other communities, so they have resources. See, if you go into Compton, South Central, go East Oakland, you go to certain parts of Sacramento, you pump money into where they have these learning centers. They have these different types of media outlets where kids can go there and learn technology and different. You wouldn't have kids out there doing the other stuff because they realize, hey man, there's opportunity. Trade schools, when they got rid of all the trade stuff in all the schools,
that was a big
thing.
Yeah.
Welding, auto mechanics,
I agree with that.
dude, diesel mechanic, all that stuff. So you teach a kid that, and I know because kids email me all the time. Hey man, I'm going to trade school. Hey, I'm going in the Army. Hey, so you got to give them options. You don't want to make people harder. So you try to abuse them, they make them harder and angry. They get out and they're just resentful. Why not make people get out and be happy? Why not make them culturally happy? Why not have a happy society?
When I was growing up, the one thing that kept black people from going to prison is that they had two parents. You know,
That too.
My grandfather, my grandmother, I lived with them. My mother lived in Indiana. We had family, and we were taught to work. We treated people the way we would like to be treated. So I don't know anyone who went to prison or went to jail or did crime growing up at all. I didn't learn about that until I grew up in Alabama.
Okay.
And I didn't learn about that until I went to the city where the blacks was all gathered together, and they were committing crimes. And I noticed that one of the reasons they were doing it, they didn't have two parents in their home. They were relying on the government. Which do you think worked better, to be raised by two parents or to be taught a trade in prison?
Raised by two parents, because you avoid prison. You don't have to go to prison to get a trade.
Yeah.
You should learn all that on the street. Having a father figure is one of the biggest things that affects young black men. 76%. If you don't have a father in the house, you're likeness to go to prison. Because see, you got to figure as a male, around the time you start having testosterone, you start gravitating towards other males, so you hear other things. When you come home, your dad checks you.
Yeah.
Hey man, get that no knucklehead. Hey, you're not. Come here. You got to have that. That stern father figure, nowadays they say, oh man, that's not right, that's
know,
abuse.
yeah.
No, you need that.
Yeah.
That keeps you out of prison. Going to prison's abuse.
And in one of your videos, you said, I'm married to a white woman. Are you married to a white woman?
Yeah,
What's that like?
like anything else.
What is it
The
like?
only reason I said that was because people have a tendency to try to put a stereotype on color. See, so when people say that and they're like, oh, well, you know, oh, this is white, this is black, it's almost like a slap in the face. I just said that just because the slap in the face is like a satire. But it's just like being married to anybody else. As long as somebody has your back, it doesn't matter what race, man. I didn't grow up looking at, oh, you're a white woman, you're a white dude. No, as friends, I didn't even know what race was until I moved to Texas as a kid and somebody called me N-word. I didn't know what that meant. So I didn't grow up like that. I didn't grow up my grandparents telling me, that's a white person on TV. I just looked at, when I watched Different Strokes, I looked at, hey man, he was a cool dude.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't judge people like that. I never did. I didn't grow up like that.
Do you believe racism exists?
Of course, but you can't change it.
And what is racism?
It's just people who have anger, you know, towards other people and want to blame other people for their problems.
So it's anger and not racism.
You know,
Just
well,
anyone who has anger, they're going to treat everybody in the wrong way.
It's a
anyway.
combination of having animosity or anger based on skin color.
So I got to ask, do you, so you're married, are you the head of your wife?
What do you mean the head of my wife?
The head of your wife, does she obey you?
She doesn't obey me.
She does not?
We compromise. I mean, there's nothing. I'm not running like a Gestapo setup at my house. You know, we talk. We have a relationship where communication is key. If you don't communicate with your wife, you're trying to, you know, going around boss. I mean, you're not going to last long. You know, if you want to grow.
But how do you live with her if she doesn't obey?
What do you mean? Oh, she doesn't have to obey. We just work together. I don't use the term obey. That's like a dictative
But a woman
command.
need a man to guide her.
I do guide her. That's why she's with me.
But what happens when she all, you know how sometimes women you wake up in the morning and the woman just mad about nothing. You having a sweet dream and she up there looking at you. Why are you so happy? How do you deal with your wife when the hell comes
My wife
out?
don't do that. I don't know what type of maybe if you're married, if your wife does that, then maybe your energy is not right. We're on some spiritual time. We don't have that. Anytime we talk about it, we meditate. We do things differently than most households. So that type of conflict, like I see people who have relationships and they talk about their wife when they're not around. The wife come in, they hug them. Oh, baby.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I don't talk behind my wife's back. She don't talk behind my back. I don't tell her what to do like I'm bossing. We have a communication. We vibe. If that vibe wasn't there, if it wasn't on the same vibrational, we wouldn't be together.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Is she older than you?
Yes.
She's older than you?
Yes.
How much older?
Like 9 years.
What the? 9 years?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Did you ever imagine that you would marry an older woman?
No, I didn't even imagine I was gonna get married. You know,
Yeah.
initially when I had a thing in my mind that I wasn't gonna get married, I was gonna get out, do my thing, you know, just have women. I wasn't gonna really be tied up or anything like that. But you know, the universe has a bigger picture. So you know, if somebody comes into your life and they show you certain characteristics that are relative to you growing as a spiritual being, and then that's what created that bond. But I had no idea I was gonna even get married.
But a 9-year-old woman is like being married to your mama.
No, not really.
It is.
It's not
It's
my
a
mom.
mama's son thing.
I don't sleep with my mom.
You are if you with a woman that's 9 years older than you.
So what about the old man sleeping with a young woman?
I don't know. With 9 years old,
So what's the
a
difference?
man should have a woman at no more than 10 years younger.
Based on what?
Because men need to guide women, and women are very cunning, and they need the man to guide them. But you can't guide no 9-year-old woman, man.
It sounds like you had bad experience with women,
How
brother.
you go to how's that?
It sounds like by what you just described, you're used to whatever women you've dealt with or whoever, as far as you've been brought up around, the guy who's dealing with them, somehow they're very recalcitrant. They're very resistant. I don't deal with women like that. I don't deal with women who give me attitude. I've never dealt with women who have any type of issues with me as a person. If there's this miscellaneous arguments, I don't believe in that. See, I don't need drama. I never had drama. I'm a good dude. I can find women
You look like Mike Tyson.
I would never have a problem finding a woman.
Yeah.
So as far as me generating energy, I know I'm a catch, not to feed my ego because I'm not like other dudes. Right. I don't boss a woman. I don't talk down to a woman. And if anything, I'm gonna elevate her to where she's gonna be the best she could be.
But you can't elevate a nine.
How you know that?
Because she's already up there.
No, no, you're not. You're not seeing what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with age. So you're basing life experience or age on life experience or elevation of consciousness. You could be a 70-year-old fool.
But can you, that's true, but can you, you know that order of God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children.
But see, that's where you're
It's
basing
the
it.
order of God, and so it's the man's responsibility to guide the woman.
But that's based on-
Otherwise, women can't see the right way to go.
That's basing your on Christian principle. See, I don't want to
But
follow
that's-
that principle, bro.
but
Brother,
that's from
'cause-
God.
But no, you're basing that off of what you read.
No.
No, you're basing
No,
that off of what you read. So if you feel that you have to guide your woman, that's cool for you, but you
Every
can't tell.
woman I've been with, I was
Well,
over her.
But look at the caliber. It's
What
a
that
different
mean?
caliber. We're both black men, but we're on different levels. So what your level is, I'm not knocking it, but that's your level of what your woman. So you're going to attract a woman who's going to listen to you based on your characteristics. Your women would not be attracted to me, and me, that's why I wouldn't be attracted to them. We don't even resonate
But
on the
you'll
same
be
level.
good for a younger woman so you can guide her.
But
you
the whole
can't
thing
guide
is,
an older woman.
you don't know that, bro. You trying to judge my wife, you don't even know her. You're speaking down on something you don't even know. You never
I'd
said that
like
and have
to
a
talk to your
conversation.
wife one day. Next time, bring your wife.
She's here.
What?
She's here. She's writing and she's here. So you're speaking on a woman that you don't even know.
Oh, that's your wife?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I wish I'd known that we had on stage.
Yeah. She.
And so she's not stubborn as an older woman?
No, you've had some bad experiences, brother.
That's
The women
okay.
you've been dealing with, man, I'm telling you, maybe the women down there from Alabama
it
or wherever,
just-
it's like, I don't deal with women like that. You
It's
see,
just natural.
them women that you talking about that are hard-headed, that get up and want to hit you upside the head with a skillet, or, get mad because you had a beer at the table. I don't deal with those
No,
women.
that's not what I'm saying. What you don't understand is there's a natural order to life. And as man need Christ to guide him, the woman need the man because the way God created it. Otherwise, you can't, women are very illogical. And so they need the man to bring them out of that.
You're judging women pretty harshly, man.
No, I'm just saying, it's not a judgment.
No,
it's
it is a judgment. It's because
fact.
you're saying it, and it's not a fact. Because you don't know every woman in the world.
But
You haven't sat down with every woman in the world and had a conversation to know where her mentality's at. So you're judging over 1 billion women right now. You're
No.
saying every woman is cunning, every woman sneaky. So what about every guy? Lying, sneaky, demanding.
If they have not overcome their mothers, they are like a woman. They will be sneaky. But if they have overcome the mother, been born, returned to the father, they're going to be logical. What's the difference between men and women?
Men and women are the
Other than body part. Is there a difference between
Yeah,
men?
it's a difference between as far as certain things, as far as aggression, as far as leadership, as far as just logic, thinking. Women think more emotion, men think more of just sense, as far as just reacting. So, but to say that every woman thinks a certain way, every man thinks a certain way, there's a lot of weak men out here. And there's a lot of
Because they
men
just
that
like their
think that
mama.
they have power because they tell a woman what to do. These dudes is weak. I've seen a lot of dudes, that's how they get all their power from bossing their wife around. And these dudes can't put their hands up.
Let's go back to the difference. So number one, difference between a man and a woman is what?
You have a bunch of differences as
I
far
know
as,
you just named a bunch of them. I want to kind of examine them a little bit. You said one of the differences is what?
the way the women, we think differently.
And what do you mean by that?
The way we react to situations. Where a woman would act emotional, a man might act differently as far as how he would see the situation for himself and not think out of doing something like what they say, like a lot of guys act, oh, you're acting like a little female because you get all emotional instead of having a conversation without getting in your feelings.
That's why a woman would need a man to help her to overcome that. And because men are more logical.
Not
women
all
are
men.
illogical.
Not all men.
Right, you're right. Those who have not overcome their mothers are illogical because they have the mother's mindset and her emotions. So that's why you must be born again to overcome the mother, return to the father, return to the logical mind. That's one of the reasons that you need a father in the home so that he can guide you in a logical way rather than an illogical, emotional way that a mother guides you. Because you become angry, you become just like your mother, so you take her identity.
Well, but there's two sides to that. If you don't have the right father in the household, your dad,
Right,
your
absolutely.
biological father could be garbage too. If he's abusive,
he has not overcome his mother, you're right.
No, if he's abusive, treats the woman wrong, cheats and runs around, then he's setting the same example for his kids. And so on the outside, it might look like a good family at a barbecue, but you go home and that dude's a piece of garbage.
that's because he's married to his mother, and because he has not overcome his mother, so you become attracted to what you hate, and every woman you get with is just like mama. So you end up becoming the boy, she becoming the mama, and men don't like that sometimes.
Well,
they
you're
become
talking about
violent.
like the baby boy syndrome.
Yeah.
You know, that's prevalent in a lot of single family
Yeah.
households, but you have a lot of men who have also been very abusive to their wives, and they think that's a form of domination.
No, they're trying to survive. They're trying to deal with mama because the woman they're with is just like mama.
No, but I'm saying they've had their dad too. I'm talking about cycles.
Yeah, even
so
if
it's not necessary because he came from a single man. Because
Right.
this guy might have had three generations. He had a dad too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of things. A lot of guys hide behind the bottle.
But his father could be with his mother and be in the home and everything, but gave up because he couldn't deal with the boy's mom. So he let the mother just ruin because his father couldn't deal with the mother either.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of scenarios.
I want to ask you about Black Lives. Let me ask, what is love?
Love is an emotion.
What do you mean?
It's the highest emotion. It's the strongest emotion when you say you love somebody.
Okay. Let me ask you about Black Lives Matter and Antifa. What do you think about them?
Garbage.
And all this, yeah. And what do you mean by that?
Just trying to disrupt the American government, you know, trying to disrupt our communities. It's a false flag.
Yeah.
You know, anytime you have somebody who they're about us is about destroying the hetero nuclear household.
Yeah.
That means you don't want you're getting rid of the black man as the head of the household, but you're using a black man as your as your cause.
That's right.
So
Yes.
it's actually a false flag, but all the black men out there don't even know. They're wearing Black Lives Matter, but the women hate black men.
Yeah.
Those are women who basically say they want to destroy the hetero-nuclear household, and basically the black man is null and void.
It was founded by a bunch of fat, black, radical lesbians who admit that they're Marxists, who admit they don't like God, they don't like the nuclear family, they don't like the unborn children, they don't like capitalism, but yet the people out there listening to them, I can't believe that.
It's just, man, they got money behind them. They got money behind them, and a lot of people aren't really doing the research. I mean, they're not even, they're also conjuring spirits. They're into some really dark stuff.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
I talked about
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You're right about that.
Yeah, I've read, it's pretty sad, man, but that's how powerful they are. They're using this dark energy to kind of fulfill whatever they're trying to accomplish.
They have, I've interviewed them before. They walked out, they couldn't handle it. Do you believe in police brutality?
No.
Me either.
No.
They getting away with that too.
I think they need a lot of reform.
Amazing. I wanted to, what do you think about this idea of defunding the police department?
No, I know some police. I think they need better. They need to put more money in as far as education, and every so many months bring them off and have a psychological evaluation, community training, more interaction with the community, learning like if you're working in certain environments to know how to deal with the people in that neighborhood. You can't have people who aren't used to dealing with certain groups or certain ethnicities policing a community where you have all this animosity. You know, people don't understand. So,
Yeah.
you know, you see somebody with dreads and that's not somebody you're used to being around, and you automatically think criminal. You got to have better education with the police.
I noticed that the blacks who are being affected by the cops are the ones that are not obeying the orders of the cop when they're
Yes.
stopped.
Dude.
They're running.
Get on the ground.
Yeah. They're fighting the
I
cop.
would never, cop grab me, I'm gonna lay down.
Me too,
I'm
man.
I'm not reaching for anything. I mean, it doesn't even make sense. I mean, what do you think is gonna happen?
Yeah.
It doesn't even just listen.
Yeah.
Get on the ground, put your hands, that's it. Talk to them, everything's cool, go about your way. I mean, why would you do that?
I know.
It
it's
makes no
crazy.
sense.
But the blacks are being encouraged to do that too, to not obey the cop. And then when they
Yeah.
get hurt, they blame the cop rather than blaming the black.
The media jumps all over it.
Yeah.
See, if statistic wise, more white people are shot by cops than blacks. Statistically, it's high, very high. They never show that though. When a black guy just killed a white kid, the kid, nobody even talked about it because it's not relevant. You know what I mean? So it's like we're getting such biased information.
That's amazing. You're absolutely right, man. That's mind blowing. You know, you look like Mike Tyson. You should be a boxer.
No.
You ever consider that?
No, man. I'd rather use my brains for something else.
I'll take you down if you're a boxer. I saw you move like this. A big guy that never thought about coming. No one ever.
I was always on some intellectual time. You know, my whole thing was initially I wanted to be a Wall Street trader.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Watching Gordon Gekko on Wall Street was like one of my initial plans to become the next Michael Milken.
That's amazing,
Yeah.
Did you go to college?
I went to college.
And why did you become that?
Just distractions, no guidance, like you said, not having that figure, that male mentor to keep me on track, to kind of give me, because I was just throwing, I've had clothing lines before I was 16 years old. I've had businesses. I just never had to follow through because I never had anybody to say, hey man, you're on the right track, or this is what you need to do. So I would just try different things. Before I tried anything illegal, I tried a lot of legal stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the proper guidance.
Yeah. When I saw you talking about that in your film, I understood that clearly. And that's what is happening with a lot of, especially black men today. They don't have that example in the home. Because for me, my father was into business. My grandfather ran a business. It was just in me, to do that. So
You've seen it.
When I
so
grew
you
up,
see it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense when you grow up around it.
When you don't have anybody, like you're trying to start a business and everybody else is working, they're saying, quit wasting your time, go get a job.
I noticed that you're right about that. So hopefully you can teach guys how to do that, man.
I've been working on it, man. I want to be able to, get these kids more into trades and welding. I told these guys, take welding for 18 months, you get out and make 50, 80 bucks an hour.
Yeah, that's right. I wish that they would bring back those trade schools.
Yeah.
Instead of pushing college all the time, they should be pushing
and going into debt.
Yeah.
You get your trade school, you learn to work on a car. I mean, dude, you got a job for life.
You were talking about today's men, especially young men, how they so beta. You went into a high school, you see the girls pushing the guys around and telling them what to do, and the guys are doing it. Why are most men today beta males instead of alpha?
It's been conditioned, man. It's through media. It's through design, as far as what's going on with this society in general. If you look at just the activity of the kids. When we were growing up, we played tackle football. We go box each other. We do all these outdoor activities.
Yeah.
You go out skateboard, BMX. You don't see kids doing any of that.
Yeah.
None of these kids. Now everything's on social media, so you got to take a picture. It's a like. It's video games. And we had Coleco and Atari, but we were physical kids. And that was part of it being a man playing. Being active like a young boy. And you had kids don't strive for that. Some kids do in certain households where it's more maybe military or more where the father's there and he's more like taking his kid to football. But a lot of kids, they've just become really feminized, and even look at the hip hop industry.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff that they pump out there, and it's just gradually you see the shift, and just this whole push for different things. And I think a lot of it's in the food too.
Yeah. When I was growing up in Alabama, I used to go hunting. I do tractors. I got my first rifle at 15. I used to climb trees and fall out the trees, just boy stuff. Mm-hmm. We don't have that anymore.
No. Playing karate, we kick each other, wrestle. I mean, all that stuff. You do that now, somebody's parents gonna try to sue you.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
It's just a different time, man, and it's a perfect time for what they're doing because there's no men to stand up.
Yeah.
It's not like kids growing up in my age or your era where they had a sense of self and they knew who they were. These kids have no identity.
Yeah.
So they'll fall for anything.
That's why we got to return them to the fathers too.